What is going on, lads? It's another video from me, James Streeter. I'm looking to do a video just because it's in popular demand, especially with the two main commenters on most of my videos, Andrew at NUFC and Jonathan Young. Both, I believe both of them are Newcastle fans. I definitely know that Andrew is, and he likes it when people talk about Newcastle a lot, of course. So I've done a video on Man United's top 5 signings I'd make for them if the takeover was completed for Newcastle. This would be my top 5 players I'd pick to sign for Newcastle. Now, I am basing this completely on the realms of realism, in my opinion, what they could get in terms of their budget and in terms of what the promise they could become as a team. Now, number 5, based on a free transfer option of the last video I made looking at the free transfers that could go about, I did discuss before that they need a striker to come in, and if they could get him on a large contract, Edinson Cavani could be the man that sorts Newcastle's season out for next year. He's a top quality striker. He'll score you 20 goals a season. He's getting on a bit in age, but what you're buying is quality now, which usually for a large fee you could get, but it will just take up a lot of the money you would use for the rest of the transfers, while falling into financial fair play. He's a fantastic option for them, and with the promise of a massive rebuild of the club, and him being the start of that, the antithesis of that. Am I saying that word right? Antithesis, something like that. He would be the epicenter of the Newcastle rebuild, and he could be a future legend of the club if he manages to bag him in 20 goals in the first season, which would be difficult, but yeah, that's the first signing I would make, thinking off the top of my head. So Edinson Cavani on a free transfer. Now, next up, John McGinn. Now, this is a bit of a left field shout. There was talks at the beginning of the season, this season that's just come to pass, that John McGinn was targeted by Manchester United for a £50 million transfer to the Red Devils, and it was a bit ludicrous at first. You think it's a Championship player just come to the Premier League, but when he's just come in, he's shown his quality. Is he worth 50 million still? It's difficult to say because he had his injury, but he looks like a top quality box-to-box midfielder that you could possibly get for a reasonable price. Especially if you had a trade deal in with it. So if you said to Aston Villa, right, you've got John McGinn, his wages are going to be mental in the Championship, he's not going to want to stay, we will give you say John Joe Shelvey or a player of that calibre for John McGinn, and we give you 25-30 million. That, to me, Newcastle would be making good business. They'd be getting rid of John Joe Shelvey, who will probably be on the way out with that quality, and they'd be making a massive upgrade for 30 million, which I think would be a great transfer. He's great up and down the pitch. He scores goals, he makes assists, and really he can grab a game by the scruff of the neck, which a team like Newcastle would like to get. So, number 4, John McGinn. Number 5, I'm thinking wingers, not winners. Well, winners as well, I guess technically, but wingers. And I did mention this in the last video I did about Newcastle. Justin Kluivert. Justin Kluivert is a promising young Dutch winger from Roma, which many Newcastle fans know about his daddy, old Patrick Kluivert, former Newcastle player. really a symbol of the last good times that Newcastle fans had. You know, back in the day when they were challenging for Europe, and Kevin Keegan, unfortunately for him, made that speech. But yeah, he was a top quality player, and his son looks to be upper echelon. He's not continued the hype from when he was at Ajax to Roma, but I think a jump to a Premier League team, and you're buying someone who the next few years can develop into a top quality player. You could possibly get him for 30 million. He'd fit in that left wing position. He's quick, tricky. He knows where the goal is. And he can really develop. He's still so young. I believe he's like in his early 20s, like 2019, maybe, something along those lines. Incredible player. So number 3, Justin Kluivert. Yeah, Cavani, then McGinn, then Kluivert. So yeah, 3. Number 2, his former partner. Oh yeah, baby, David Neres. David Neres from Ajax would probably command a large transfer fee, not as large as probably it would have been before, when they made the Champions League semi-finals and just this close lost out to the finals from that last-minute goal from Lucas Moura. David Neres is a very good winger, very tricky, very quick, very skillful, very much like Kluivert, and gets a goal. And also, wing partnerships are underrated in terms of how well you need to be acquainted with each other, because you can do a lot of tactics between switching flanks, knowing what the strength of the other one is. Are you going to cut into your left so you create more space by going out further wide and giving him more space? Is he going to cross the ball in so you're going to join the attacker and try and get it in? And those two will know each other's styles from playing with each other at Ajax, which I think's a good skill. It's a good skill which they could definitely apply to their game. Shout out Quincy Promes, he'd be another good signing. If not Neres, I'd get Quincy Promes. And the good thing about having David Neres and Quincy Promes in the same club, one goes, the other one can play in that position. It's not too hard to replace them, unless one plays right wing, one plays left wing, which might happen, I don't know. But David Neres would be my signing to make. He would probably cost in the region of around £45 million in my estimation. But you never know. He could cost much more. But this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking around 45 million for David Neres to join. You think of a front line of Kluivert, Neres, and Cavani. You know, you've got goals. You got goals in that team. You got good defence in Dubravka, in Dubravka in goal, Lascelles and Shaw centre back partnership. You got a good foundation to start the season with, to really push for a Europa League position and really put heat on the likes of teams like Man United, on Sheffield United, on Wolves, on Everton, Arsenal, the teams that probably might be pushing for that. Probably not Man United. Man United will probably be pushing towards the Champions League, but definitely a team like Wolves, Arsenal, Everton, those types of teams who probably won't be challenging for Premier League, for Champions League. They'll definitely give them something to think about, which is definitely something that they need to do. They need to gain the respect of the league to really get themselves started and then build on that. So Cavani, Kluivert, Neres. Who was the other one? Who was the other signing? John McGinn. It was Cavani, then John McGinn, Neres, Kluivert. What a lineup! Whew. What a lineup! And now my final signing that I would make if I was Newcastle United. It's a left field shout. It's actually something that was mentioned in the comments. Dan Axel Zagadou. Now, how much would he cost to bring to the club? He would cost a mint. I think he would cost a mint, but at 20 years young, he's still got plenty of room to grow as a centre-back. You could definitely offload Fabian Schär, get a lot of money from him to build towards the other transfers, and you'd have a good defender for the next 12 years at the club if he wants to stay that long, which if they're building what they want to build, and he will. And he'll also offer them so much defensively. Lascelles being that leader at the back line next to Zagadou for the first season. They're both really powerful in the air, both relatively good on the ball, and they could shut offensive teams down pretty well. He's a very good signing, a very good player for Borussia Dortmund. But my one problem with him leaving is Jadon Sancho, Erling Haaland, all these players that are looking to leave. You see, Dortmund are a selling club, they always have been, but they don't sell all their good players in one season. You never see all of them go in one. It'll be difficult to get rid of them. The only plus side I see of them possibly getting rid of him, being willing to listen to offers, would be that they've got Manuel Kanji, they've got Mats Hummels, they've got a pretty extensive line of centre backs to replace Dan Axel Zagadou, but he is a hell of a player, hell of a player, and he would be my top signing. So, number 5, Edison Cavani on a free transfer. Number 4, John McGinn on a swap deal of some sorts, plus an extra 25 to 35 million pounds. And number 3, Justin Kluivert. You're probably looking at around 45 to 40 million pounds for him, maybe increasing up to 50. If it goes up to 50, I think it'd be mad to pay that price for him. But it's a very career mode like signing, but I'm not looking at this in a career mode aspect. I'm looking at this in a football aspect, and the type of football that Pochettino, if he was brought in, would be to play. As Pochettino looks very, very likely to be the man brought in. Number 2, it was David Neres. You're probably looking at a similar price to Kluivert, 45 million pounds. And Dan Axel Zagadou, you're looking at 50 million to 55, 45, around that price area. Now, we talked about players. Now let's talk about managers. We've already briefly mentioned the running favourite, Mauricio Pochettino. Now, this man knows how to build a team. This man knows how to get a team who aren't the best, who aren't the greatest, and build them into top quality sides. You know, you've seen him do it with Southampton and with Spurs. He's got the best out of players that other managers probably haven't done. You know, when you think of that Southampton era with Virgil van Dijk, with Sadio Mane, you know, basically Liverpool now, if you look at those big massive players, those were Mauricio players, and you look at what he's done with Harry Kane, with Heung-min Son, with Lucas Moura, with with players like that. He's a real innovator in tactics and player development, and I think for young players like the Longstaff brothers, like players they'll want to bring in, I think he'd be the perfect man to do it. And he's also brilliant at his job. He's a good tactician, and he knows how to build a good squad. The fans would love him. You saw what they did with Rafa, with Pochettino. They probably come everywhere. I understand. I mean, I wanted him at United for a while, but it's alright. I'm alright with Ole at the wheel at the moment. He's not too shabby. But Pochettino, if it wasn't to be, which, don't worry Newcastle fans, I still 100% believe Mauricio Pochettino will sign for Newcastle. I don't see another club interested that he would go to unless it was Real Madrid and Barcelona, and I've heard no talks of that as of yet. You are definitely the front runners, but if not, two managers I would definitely consider. Rafa Benitez. Now, we all know Newcastle fans love Rafa. It was a shock and a shame to see him go when he did, when he was really bringing the team onto his own. But he would be a good backup option. He knows the club, he knows the fans, and he would build a great defensive structure and let the attackers do what they want, similar to what he did at Liverpool with a not so great defence, but then pushing on with that brilliant attack and let them just play with the freedom they want. Rafa Benitez would be a good option. Another good option, which isn't being talked about nearly as much as it should, Erik ten Hag. Now, Erik ten Hag is the manager of Ajax. He took him to a Champions League semi-final. He's been revolutionary with the side. With that side, with De Ligt, with Ziyech, with Van der Beek, Onana. These players that really shown to be the best Ajax side in years, and now all going for massive clubs. Ziyech just recently moved to Chelsea on a free transfer for next season. De Ligt signed last season to Juventus, and you'll probably see a lot more go. And I could see the manager going, and he would be a perfect fit for Newcastle. He's great with. He's shown he's great with young players to work with. He's shown he's tactically able. And he's shown he knows how to run good. He can run a good football team and play really beautiful football. If you watch Ajax play, it is magical at times. Some of the dead ball specialists they have, the way they move the ball. He could probably he gets about best out of minimum players as well. Do you remember Dusan Tadic? Speaking of Southampton, Dusan Tadic, the man they let go. Wow, what a player he looks like. He made Real Madrid look like a bunch of chumps. Okay, Dusan Tadic, he turned him into a worldie, and no one would have seen that at all. And if you did, you're fucking lying, or you're just a really big diehard Southampton fan who was really sad to see him leave. But he would be my other option. But Maurizio is definitely the front runner, but Rafa Benitez because he knows the club, and Erik ten Hag because I think he's the dark horse manager that no one's talking about getting, and I think it's a shame. I think he's quality. But that'll be it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Jonathan Young, Andrew NUFC, thank you for the comments, interactions. It's been really nice to talk with people about football over this quarantine. It's been difficult for everyone, of course. And, as me just fucking about rambling about different topics, it's nice to get some interaction with people, so I very much appreciate it. I hope you all have a nice day, and we'll see what football holds. See you later. Bye bye.